You keep trying to feel ready. That's the trap. You think procrastination is a motivation problem, but motivation is just the smoke. The video will reveal why your drive dies on cue and what to do instead, using the scientific mechanism behind it. You're not lacking drive. You're stuck in anticipatory dread. It feels like I'm not in the mood, but underneath it your mind is already running the worst-case movie. You rehearse failure first, like it's a protective ritual. Then you call it preparation. Cute trick. Here's the spell. You keep staring at the door before you open it. Not the work, the outcome. The locked front door. One peephole. You're trying to reduce the darkness on the other side by guessing what you'll see. You tell yourself you'll act when you can handle it. So ask yourself this. What are you actually chasing when you wait until you feel ready? Relief from the fear or the task? And what happens right after you feel a little relief? You do a tiny setup. You organize. You outline. You delay again. Why? Because the plan isn't for the work. It's for managing discomfort. The task becomes the hostage. Now the cost, and it's real. Every delay trains your brain that the door stays locked. You don't just postpone effort. You teach your nervous system to dread the moment you stop pretending you're safe. Picture it with something simple. You have to start a draft. You open a doc, then your mind jumps to it will be bad. So you research one more time, refine one more detail, check one more reference. You feel productive. Meanwhile, you're building a bigger fear-proof cage. Your one action is this. Before you do anything, write one sentence that names the dread you're rehearsing. Not the vague "I'm stressed." The exact expected thing you're afraid will happen. Then you move immediately first 5 minutes without trying to feel calmer first. Because this video isn't going to blame you for being scared. It's going to show you the specific mechanism that turns fear into readiness and then steals your motivation on schedule. Here's the mechanism you keep feeding. Every time you delay, you don't buy comfort, you add friction. Think of a snowball you're supposed to push downhill. But instead of letting it roll, you keep kicking it. Each kick is just a little more research, just a bit more prep. I'll start after I feel less weird. You're not moving the ball forward. You're pressing it into the snow until it gets stickier, heavier, harder to budge. That's why starting later feels worse than starting earlier. Earlier, you had smoother ground. Later, you've loaded the same task with extra decisions and extra uncertainty. Which version, which order, which criteria? What if you mess up again? Your brain reads that build up as danger. So the first push isn't brave anymore. It's a negotiation. This is the warm-up tax of avoidance. You pay it every time you postpone, and you pay it to your fear, not your goals. So hold this model. Delay increases weight. Then readiness becomes the moment you finally can't dodge the push because the snowball is now too heavy to pretend it isn't moving. When you hit later, your brain doesn't experience it as loss. It experiences it as survival. Picture a video game where pausing keeps you from dying. The screen stops shaking. You can breathe. Relief floods in. And because you live through that rescue moment, your mind writes a rule. Pause works. Now the trap. The game doesn't sit still. Each time you pause, the next level spawns tougher enemies. The pause feels like progress, but it's secretly escalating the challenge. That's what happens with your task. You delay, you get relief now, and your nervous system learns good. We're safe by postponing. So next time, the task-linked anxiety doesn't just show up. It upgrades. It shows up with more urgency, more dread, more don't step in there. One mechanism to keep. Relief trains postponement. Relief makes it feel smart. Relief quietly raises the difficulty. So the action is simple, not comfortable. Start the first tiny move before you earn relief because the moment you wait for calm, your brain schedules another pause. Let us stop dancing around it. You keep postponing, and you don't just delay the project. You retrain the person you become while waiting. Stand in place for a second and listen to your body. Notice how your muscles tense like they're preparing to sprint. Then put your foot down on the treadmill. At first, it feels easy. You're barely moving, but the belt is set to your pace. You tell yourself, I'll go when I feel right. So you stand there. You let the belt adjust. Soon it starts matching your refusal. The moment you try to step forward, you feel it. Not pain. Something worse, resistance. Like the ground is negotiating with you. Your stomach drops because walking now requires effort, not intention. That's the hidden cost of your procrastination cycle. It upgrades your identity into someone who waits for conditions. Someone who has practiced staying still so long that starting feels unnatural. And here's the mechanism you can't ignore. Every time you choose later to buy relief, you teach your system that motion is unsafe until you've earned permission from comfort. So the truth you avoid is simple. You get better at not starting than at finishing. Now you need a shift that doesn't feel heroic. Make the first tiny move before you earn calm, because the treadmill only gets easier when you stop negotiating and start walking. There's a particular loop you keep running. You wait for ready, then you approach the task like it's a negotiation. You tell yourself you're being careful. You're actually buying friction up front and calling it patience. And that's why the first attempt costs you more time than it should. You don't just start late. You start guarded. You spend minutes trying to feel calm before you even touch the work. Then you hit the first obstacle with half your energy already burned. Picture your kitchen. Counter messy. You want to clean when you're in a mood. So you hover. You look at the mess like it's judging you. Your brain waits for the vibe to arrive. Now try this instead. Set a timer for 2 minutes. Not clean the whole kitchen. Just clear one spot. Wipe one surface. Move one pile. Notice what happens to the room. Momentum doesn't make everything perfect. It makes the next action cheaper. The dread doesn't vanish. It loses its grip because your brain learns a new rule. You can begin while afraid. And the fear doesn't get to drive the bus. When you start with a time micro-action, you cut the warm-up tax on the next attempt. The brain stops treating starting like a threat and starts treating it like a process. So here's the clean payoff, straight to your life. If you're waiting to feel ready, you're paying interest on procrastination right at the beginning. Your hidden enemy, the project. It's your demand that your mood show up first. That demand creates the pause, and the pause creates the cost. So the next time you catch yourself hovering and planning, you don't brainstorm your way out. You start the clock and do the smallest physical move available right now, before your brain can rewrite the rules again. You've been acting like procrastination is mostly a motivation problem. Like if you just felt inspired, the work would slide in naturally. That's the lie your brain sells because it's comforting. If it's motivation, then you're waiting for a feeling. And feelings are uncontrollable. Here's the mechanical reason you stall, plain and ugly. Avoidance creates friction on contact. You don't just delay the task. You delay the moment you have to face it. Then your brain runs a fear-based prediction. This is going to cost me energy, attention, and embarrassment, and it tries to protect you by keeping you outside the door. And yes, you pay interest immediately, not later, in the first 5 minutes. You hover. You negotiate. You check yourself for calm. You spend mental fuel proving you're not about to fail. Think about it for 3 seconds. You sit down to write. You stare at the blank page like it's a judge. You wait for ready. You don't start. You're building a wobble you'll feel every time you try again. Today, your single action is this. Before any emotion check, place a 2-minute timer and do one friction-killing micro-beginning, open the document, and write exactly 1 sentence. Only one. When the timer ends, stop. No editing. No deciding. Measure it. Did you produce one complete sentence within 2 minutes? If yes, you triggered action before motivation arrived. If no, you learned you're still paying the warm-up tax with delays you can't afford.